Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. As you can see, I have with me Lieutenant General Ravi Shankar, who's going to expose the Chinese hypocrisy with regards to our neighbors, Sri Lanka versus Pakistan versus Nepal. What exactly is the Chinese plan? Why is it helping one country where it's ignoring the other? Sir, good evening and welcome to the show.
Hi, good evening. Just give me 2 minutes. I'll come back on the
Sure,
show. Okay.
right, sir?
Just give me 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, no problem. So, guys, this is an
Just take
interesting
me off.
subject.
Just take me off the thing.
Yeah, this is an interesting subject that we've kind of picked up because the most important thing that we need to understand, the reason I picked up this subject, let me just say this till the time sir comes back. Just going to take him a minute. The reason I picked up this subject is because we had the recent news of the Pakistanis getting $700 million from the Chinese. They got $700 million from the Chinese. Whatever said and done, they're not going to do much about it. That's a different story altogether. But why isn't the Chinese helping the Sri Lankans? And of course, the political turmoil that's happening in Nepal. I've also done an interesting video with Lieutenant Shokin Chauhan, which is going to come up very, very soon with regards to Nepal itself and the politics in that place. And General Shankar is back. Sir,
Yeah. Sorry.
welcome back. No problem.
Yeah.
I was just
There
telling
was
people
someone.
why I picked up this show was because the $700 million that the Chinese gave the Pakistanis, but then ignored the Sri Lankans completely.
Yeah.
Apart from that, there is also political turmoil again, which is starting up in Nepal.
Mm.
So it's interesting that either the Chinese are going to lose Nepal or stay with Nepal. And funnily speaking, sir, before I hand it over to you, there was a Chinese diplomat in Nepal who put out a map saying that the first train from China to Kathmandu has already come.
Mm.
He got so much of a flack from for that. It's not funny, and from Nepalese people. So they said, "What are you talking about? It's all fake. This, that, and all that stuff." And he had to actually withdraw that tweet, saying that this is how this is how the Chinese actually work. They'll put out something and then hope everybody kind of believes it.
Hey, let's see about Nepal. But you have to understand, Nepal and Sri Lanka are in a different category when you compare it with Pakistan,
Pakistan.
right? Pakistan is on an altogether different track. So you have to understand that fundamentally.
So let's do
And
one thing, sir.
yeah,
Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and Nepal. Let's segment them out, and then we'll look at the combined story at the end of it.
no,
How
we'll
does that sound?
first look at Pakistan versus
Yeah,
Sri Lanka and Nepal,
sure.
and then we'll talk between Sri Lanka and Nepal. What is
Done, sir. Let's do that.
okay, and then we'll look at this thing. Okay, see, if you go back in time, uh, in 1949, we have to go back in time there. Pakistan was one of the first countries to recognize the PRC.
Hmm.
Okay, many countries didn't recognize. You didn't recognize the PRC till much later. Okay, much later. So, and we all recognize the Republic of Korea. Sorry, China, which is the Taiwan, and it was Taiwan which had the UN, seat. Okay, and so it was only after PRC got recognition, international recognition, that you also recognized PRC. Much later, much later. Whereas Pakistan, 1949, between 1949 and 50, they recognized China. Okay, and they have been given a lot of this thing. Oh, in the 70s, okay, the uh, the facilitation of Nixon going to China was done by Pakistan. Kissinger famously came, spent a night in Pakistan. Next day he said he was sick and he was in his room only. And third day he came out. But in between that, actually he was not in his room, he was in China. He went and met Mao, and then the famous visit by Kissinger, right? Okay. In 71, 71, not 71, 72. This is just after that Kissinger's visit and all that. Uh, Bhutto had gone to China, and at that time, Pakistan was, still recovering from Bangladesh or being severed into half. It had a lot of problems, X, Y, Z. And when he went to this thing, this chap, Zhao at that time, and mind you, at that time, China was not a rich country.
Hmm.
And he gave something to the tune of $5-6 million as a loan. At that time, $5-6 million was quite a bit. And he said, "Yeah, this loan we are giving it to you, and the terms will be as you want. And in case you cannot repay, that's also okay, right?" So if today China is what it is, it was facilitated by Pakistan, right? Then there's an issue of nuclear proliferation between China and Pakistan. There's an issue of proliferation of missile technology from Korea to Pakistan,
Pakistan.
facilitated by China. Why? All this is against India. Okay. All this was future investment that someday Pakistan will come good. So there's a long term investment in Pakistan. Okay. Then you come now. Now, China has got a lot of stakes in Afghanistan, or rather, it will have. The thinking before Taliban was put in power there again was that when the Americans go, Pakistan will facilitate China going there. It is that minerals and all that. That's the pie in the sky. But it is there.
Yeah.
Then the issue of CPEC. Now, CPEC was the flagship program for Pakistan and BRI.
China.
And that was to give a connectivity between Xinjiang and the Gulf. And Gwadar was to be their base. See, between Pakistan, Nepal, and Sri Lanka, the country which was most suited to them and most amenable to them was Pakistan. And where their politically their equations with the army, with all the across everyone in the politics was good. Okay. So the investment which Chinese were doing, they thought they'll get the benefits. And then you have to understand one fundamental thing about the Chinese. There's a lot of coal locked up in Xinjiang. Now that coal can't be taken to the mainland China. It's easier to get that coal down to towards Gwadar, and then get it into Egypt and South African countries. And that is why you'll see in this belt of this BRI all power
On
plants,
power plants.
thermal power plants. Okay, so that is also there. Then there is a classic thing. You put that map on, you'll get the idea. Look at that circle. What is that circle? Disputed area. Okay. The commonality or the common dispute between India, Pakistan, and China is Kashmir. Now, for example, at this point of time, we've always discussed. Uh, okay, at this point of time, what happens if Pakistan collapses and then Gilgit-Baltistan goes to India? We've always discussed that Gilgit-Baltistan is the center of gravity in this area.
Absolutely.
Okay, if that is the center of gravity in this area, China has stakes in it. Okay, any instability in this area will mean instability in Tibet.
Xinjiang and Tibet.
Yeah, and Chinese also know that India is their main competitor in this area. If India is the main competitor in this area, isn't it wise to have Pakistan, which has problem with India. The enemy of your enemy is your friend.
Continue to have a problem.
Yeah. So if you put all these issues together, there is no doubt that Pakistan goes heavily on one side compared to Sri Lanka and Hambantota. Sorry, and Nepal. So, is there any questions on this? Then we'll talk of Nepal and Sri Lanka.
have have not the Chinese realized Pakistan's behavior, not recently but before, that they will not be able to? I mean, is this a blind investment or
See, again, the you have to understand something about the BRI. A lot of investments in the BRI have been without diligence. They've not done diligence. In fact, one of the problems with the BRI as a whole is that diligence has been lacking.
due diligence?
Yeah, so the due diligence was not done in Pakistan also. We had thought Pakistan will behave.
That seems to be quite the plan with pretty much everyone with China. That's something which
Hey,
amazes.
look, that's a different problem.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
thought
different
that everyone
subject.
will behave the way they behaved.
Yeah, yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
behaved the way those people behaved, not with how China expected them to behave. So there's a problem, as simple as that.
There's a problem. Okay, and that problem we've discussed multiple times and
Okay.
we've gone through it.
Yeah.
Stuff. So let's get
Now,
to Sri Lanka, sir.
no, Sri Lanka, they had a good political climate which they could invest and they wanted Hambantota. Now, if Hambantota they don't get, and which they're not going to get, okay. I mean, they've got the port, but no one comes into that port first.
Useless.
And the next problem is that that port is only good for military use, and that Sri Lanka cannot give. So why will China help Sri Lanka? And then politically, they don't have a axe anymore.
Hmm.
The people are against them. So how can they, you know, take it beyond the point? They invested in Sri Lanka because Hambantota was giving them a major geostrategic advantage. Again, put that map up. Okay, if you see Sri, where that Lakadiv Sea A है ना उसके नीचे है Hambantota. With that you control entire Indian Ocean.
Hmm.
So if you can control Indian Ocean through this Hambantota, you will be partial towards Sri Lanka. But today you can't, so they've withdrawn. And then if you look at Nepal, Nepal was only good to handle India, and it gives depth to Tibet.
Yeah.
If isn't it? So that is why Nepal. But they also know that Nepalese are Hindus. They know that a lot of Nepalese have been in the Indian army and all that. So Nepal is a slow burner. Nepal will come out as a problem 30 years from today or 20 years from today. If if China has been able to make the headway which it feels it will, I don't
Hmm.
think it will. So between the three, first is Pakistan, second is Sri Lanka, and third is Nepal.
Nepal. Hmm. Okay.
Nepal is the future problem.
I mean, that's
Okay. Again, you'll have to give me 2 minutes. I'll get back.
sure.
Okay. Just take me off, and I'll get back in 2 minutes.
Sorry about that, guys. I think sir has got some stuff which is happening at home probably. Anyways, I mean, it's interesting that sir actually mentioned it in a series. Number one problem Pakistan, number two problem Sri Lanka, number three problem Nepal. One thing which comes out in the entire game is that this is a existential problem that has been actually brewing. And if you look at it, it is basically because of, one thing that you realize when you look at these Chinese investments is that the Chinese went into places where they would find easy ways in uh, to dominate the particular leader. They would pay them off, they would, do stuff like that, and they would be able to get that their way in. And this is something as a thought, it just came to me. I think I'm going to put it up to General Shankar. Sir, I was just
Yeah.
mentioning something. when you
Bolo.
were talking about Sri Lanka and Pakistan, one thing that came to me was the Chinese, as a principle for their BRI, have entered into places where the leadership has been particularly corrupt as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, there's
due
no doubt
diligence is
about it.
not there, and
There's no doubt.
so they, I don't care if your grandfather or your brother-in-law gets rich. I want this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's no doubt. See, they were not involved in any of the local governments.
Huh.
How good? Yeah. So that's part of their belief. And they also made an assessment. They thought these chaps who were there at that point of time
They'll remain there.
will will remain there. And if the overall economy goes up because of the investments and all that, they'll be nice towards Chinese XYZ. Little realizing what their effect will be on the others. Okay, so that is how it is. That I mean, look, forget about Chinese. Between the three, this is the way it is. And what Chinese have done in BRI is something awful. Look, every day I keep reading news of BRI collapsing somewhere or the other. Okay, and well, in fact, today I read an article which said that between Pakistan and China also there are problems now.
They've closed the
Well,
consulate.
but there are problems because right, and the way Pakistan is, Pakistan's only hope is with the West. Okay, so all
There's an
these things are
interesting
there.
report on that note. There's an interesting report that came out in Geo, which said that IMF is putting undue restrictions and undue, you know, as they go forward, they're putting conditions. कि ये भी करना है, वो भी करना है, ये भी करना है, वो भी करना
अच्छा है सुधार लेंगे इसको.
है. कहाँ sir? See, this is another interesting thing that you actually mentioned, that what was attractive about China, sir? For before we head into Nepal, what was attractive about China for Sri Lanka and Pakistan? Pakistan,
पैसा
you've told us with regards to the
नहीं
anti-India
नहीं see या बस पैसा कैश
and paisa, ठीक है. What was attractive for Sri Lanka is cash.
कैश.
Was there any geostrategic or geopolitical
No, no,
angle?
no, no. Sri Lanka, that those Rajpaksas wanted cash, and cash gave them political power. That's all.
Perfect.
As simple as that. I mean, it's not a brainer. Whereas in Nepal, it is cash and politics. You see, depending on who is supported by China, that chap will win.
Okay. Now, I have this
So,
small line to read to you, and I'd really
uh,
like your critique before we kind of
yeah,
move
yeah,
forward.
yeah.
Something I kind of picked up from someone, and I thought, let me just put it out. The Chinese people look at their so-called peers,
Mm,
which they say is Russia and Iran.
mm.
So let's take Iran for the matter. Russia is, of course, a large, great power, so there's totally different game. And but when I say this, you kind of understand Russia also falls in the same category. That they look at Iran and say, "Yeah, boss, these guys are able to create trouble all around the neighborhood. USA is mad after them, and not even a big power."
Yeah.
So the Chinese nationalists will ask the CPC, "Yeah, you call yourself to be very superpower and this and that. Why don't you have, issues here, there, where you are this thing? That is where your power gets exerted. How are you a great power without having, proxies and this and that happening around the place?" Is
Look,
that one of also the
no,
thought
no.
process?
Look. China has two proxies.
Hmm.
Right, one is North Korea, the other is Pakistan. मतलब ये दो कुत्ते हैं. तो that's the way I look at it. So इनको भगा दो, बोंकना है तो बोंक लो. North Korea is used to counter USA, Japan, and South Korea. Pakistan is used to dabao India and give channel towards the Gulf. So they have all this. They look, China had all their bases covered. Okay, except the fact that they put their foot in Pakistan and put all the money in Pakistan. From Pakistan, it must have gone to Swiss banks or Dubai or wherever. ओके, एंड दैट्स इट. सो बोथ वो कोल प्लांट हैं उनके पास और खाली पड़े हैं वहाँ. वहाँ कोयला भी नहीं है अभी. So the CPC is a failure. Okay, it is at a standstill. And Pakistan, China, again, you have to understand that Pakistan is broke, completely dead broke. Okay, and they have no choice but to listen to IMF.
Where does that leave
We,
China?
eh, it leaves China and China only. वही बेटर रह सकता है. जी जिनपिंग एंड ब्लडी जोकर, वो वहीं रह सकता है बस. वो तो डाउट क्या है भाई?
नहीं, वो पैसे वापस कर पाएगा सर उसके?
किसका पैसा, किसने, पाकिस्तान ने किसको दिया पैसा आज तक वापस? पाकिस्तान में देर आर maybe about 200-300 families who are making money, and end of story. Another,
I mean,
maybe for this 300, there are another 2-3,000 people who are making second rate money, and end of story. That's it.
funnily speaking, sir, the $700 million that Pakistanis have got, if you actually go back 2 weeks, Pakistani paid the Chinese $500 million. So what have they got
No,
actually?
no, it is just, look, that's all we know. It is all evergreening of loans or
Huh.
nothing else. It's recycling, it's circular debt. So I mean, really speaking, what's there to talk between Pakistan and China? In fact, they've hit a dead wall. Uh, in fact, China, look, yesterday, yesterday I did a show on a peek into everyday China, and I covered the neighborhood. I covered China. I covered Nepal. I covered Bangladesh. I covered Bhutan, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. I would suggest all of you to have a look at that also. You'll get a clear idea of what is happening. I mean, I've covered it only from the China angle, or Chinese activities in our area. So you want to get a good idea, have a look at it. Then this video which we are doing now, it makes more sense. Why don't we ask the men? Why don't we ask the viewers? Let's ask questions from them. Let's get them
I want to
involved.
discuss Nepal for a bit, sir, before we go
Yeah. Okay.
forward.
Fine.
Because
Go
Nepal,
ahead.
to me, is a bit of a challenge because we have. I mean, I don't know how feasible that train track or whatever they're making into the Tarai.
Dekho, see, that's only a feasibility study. Even that feasibility study will take 5-10 years. After that feasibility study is over, how long have we taken to construct the rail line from Udhampur to Srinagar
Oh,
or
years.
Anand? When I okay, let me give you an idea. When I was commanding my unit during Op Vijay, okay, Op Vijay, um, this was in '98. We used to go for firing before we went in for operations. We used to go for firing in near Udhampur. Where we used to go for firing, it's that highest, tallest bridge, no, which the railways have made today. Uh, in that area, we used to do firing, and we used to see that bridge being built almost on a daily basis. I'm talking of rifle firing. And today, uh, what is the date today? 23. 25 years, and that's limping through. So how long do you think this will take? Terrain तो वही है, Himalayas.
It's actually worse that side.
So we, yeah, it's worse. I'll tell you why. Because the elevation in the as you go east to
Much
the
higher.
crest of the Himalayas is very steep. From Siliguri to the top of crest of Himalayas is 200 kilometers. You do
Yeah.
it in one day. One day. I used to be commanding my unit in Sevak. From Sevak Road, we used to go up to the plateau in one day. You can't do that in Ladakh. Okay, so it's very steep. So if you think you're going to build a railway out there, okay, you're living in Lala land. If that won't happen for the next quarter of a century, and next quarter of a century in a place like Nepal, which is so unstable, who knows?
What is the future of Nepal?
Look, future of Nepal will continue like this. There'll be some chap who'll come rule it. They, the natural lie of the land is towards India. The most populous place is India. Employment opportunities are in India. Connectivity is with India. Language is with India. Religion is with India. वो यार उस साइड तो कोई है ही नहीं. पॉपुलेशन कहाँ है तिब्बत में? जाके वहां जाके उसने कुछ क्या करेगा? वो बिजनेस क्या करेगा? नौकरी कहाँ मिलेगा उधर? I'll give you a. If I go around my street in Chennai, okay, I will find at least 100 Nepalis here doing some job or the other. I was just speaking to a Nepali who comes, does odd jobs in my house. He's got five brothers and all of them are in Chennai. So if that is the kind of a response, I won't say response, that's the kind of a movement of people which is happening into India. I mean, I don't even ask him, why didn't you go to Tibet? Tibet mein kya hai? Even Tibetans will come to Chennai to work. So Nepal being with you is a foregone conclusion. The only thing which you have to manage with Nepal is its politics. Okay. ये लहर चलेगा जहां तक माओइज्म चलेगा चलेगा मार्क्सिज्म. ओके. ये कम्युनिज्म कुछ दिन चलेगा उसके बाद वो बंद हो जाएगा. जब चाइना का स्ट्रेंथ कम हो जाएगा वो भी कम हो जाएगा. बस बात खत्म.
Is Nepal, the issue with Nepal is not about the people, sir. It's always been about the politics. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's all. There's nothing else.
yeah.
There's
And the
nothing else about. There's nothing about Nepal except the politics.
funny thing about Nepal is that it keeps hedging its bets. I guess
Look, I
you
don't
would
I
do
don't
that.
blame Nepal because Nepal will have to do that.
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So it's not. But the thing is that why we lost Nepal is a different story. But the fact is that we lost Nepal politically. So is there a better way of handling Nepal going ahead? I think so.
Has to be, I'm sure.
Yeah. Look, yesterday also I mentioned in that show of mine, I would request everyone to go and see what we discussed in the last one on Ukraine, right? That analogous situation between India, China, and Nepal to Ukraine situation. I explained this in yesterday's video. I would request all of you who are watching this to go and see that. So, Nepal to me is the future number one critical area, more important than Pakistan. See, today Pakistan cannot hurt you. Sri Lanka never had the capability of hurting you. Nepal also doesn't have the capability of hurting you. But if the it is weak enough to allow PLA to come in. If PLA comes in and that railway track comes through 10, 15 years ahead, they'll be on the Terai at your doorstep. So that changes a lot of equations. So Nepal to me is more important politically uh, and geopolitically than the other two today. And I think this equation will remain say 10, 15 years for the next 10, 15 years. So my take is if you look at it from an India perspective, the most important place is Nepal, followed by Sri Lanka, and least important is Pakistan. पाकिस्तान बाढ़ में जाए, वो जा ही रहा है, वो तो आपको क्या लेना देना उससे? उसको don't this thing, and at best you can help Imran Khan come to power. He will sort out Pakistan and he'll keep Pakistan safe for you, no? He'll ensure that Pakistan is an absolute uh, straight line. But when it comes to Sri Lanka already virtually things are okay. But Nepal is the one. You see, from the time Ukraine started having problems, it went through the Minsk one, Minsk two series. It's had a lot of issues and all. It's come to this war after 15, 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
So we are looking at the same time frame in which Nepal will become a major problem for you. where PLA is on it in its within its the boundaries. So you have a long-term problem with Nepal. So sort it.
No, Nepal, yes, indeed. Also, there's another challenge with these three countries that you've mentioned. Of course, there's another the same challenge that comes across from Burma is all the illicit smuggling and fake currency and a whole lot
Yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff that
that
was.
of course, that you can take it for granted. From Nepal will always happen.
So Pakistanis were able to actually use their connections within
Yeah,
Sri
but
Lanka
then
and Nepal.
again, that is also gone today. I mean, I don't give much credence. Nepal may illicit activities will go on, everything will go on, good weather, gambling, daru, ye sab hoga. Okay, all illicit activities will go on. But the fact is that, well, if you're looking at Pakistan is having a base for terror activities in India, that's out. They might have a base for intelligence activities still, yes. Not for base for terror, like it used to be once upon a time. Okay. After all the hijack
Hijack, I
814,
was
no?
just about to say. Kathmandu.
It originated from there. So that can happen, but very little more.
I mean, it's
If you can guard against such incidents,
yeah.
the nexus between Pakistan and Nepal is broken. In any case, पाकिस्तान तो यार अभी छोड़ो उसको. उनके पास तो कुछ है ही नहीं.
नहीं, वो तो
और
ऑफिशियली नहीं है ना सर, अनऑफिशियली तो फिर भी है.
अनऑफिशियली कुछ नहीं है उनके पास. एंड प्लस द स्टेप इमरान खान विल कम एंड सॉर्ट them out. Don't worry, it will happen.
So Janishankar votes for Imran Khan, PTI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Chalo, let's get people on the thing. Let them ask questions.
I'm gonna get a lot of fan mail from Pakistan for saying
No,
that.
yeah, okay. No, I like Imran Khan. He's good.
Simran, thank you so much for your contribution. He says, an Indian, Simran says, as an Indian, I feel very confident that only our country has the actual sense on this planet. The Western culture denotes materialistic policies.
Yeah, fine. That I go with him.
There is no two questions about it. you know.
Yeah, yeah. There's
Uh,
no doubt about it.
Sir, just two-part question. This is one point I would disagree with the general is Sri Lanka is as close as to China as Pakistan. As an ethnic Tamil, I may be or I am biased against Sri Lanka. And he says Sri
Possible.
Lanka took help, India's help to defeat the LTT and went to do non-judicial things against the Tamils. Now they look at India again and allowed the Chinese ship at Hambantota.
Yeah, I think you're looking at it from a different prism altogether. So we'll leave it at that.
How would you correct this prism, sir?
It's very
Or may
difficult.
I ask you? Okay, let me ask you. His main contention of the question is that the Sri Lankans took help from us and allowed that ship.
No, 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 no. I don't think so. They had no choice actually, and we also knew that they had no choice. So I look. There's a in Tamil Nadu. There's a problem in the way everyone looks at Sri Lanka, and because of the links, the Tamil links, the ethnic links.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when the ethnic links come into play, your overall judgments get covered. That's a problem with most of the people in Tamil Nadu. Even the experts about Tamil Nadu on Sri Lanka in Tamil Nadu who are Tamilians have this problem.
I guess there's an emotional quotient that plays,
Yeah, I
which
agree. I
is
mean,
quite
I don't say,
understandable,
look,
sir.
I don't say it's wrong.
No, no, it's very
It's a
understandable, sir.
fact. Yeah, it's a
Hmm.
fact, and it is there. Right? Whenever I talk to any Tamilian about Sri Lanka, I get this.
And I mean, of course, there's terrible things that have happened over there. There's no question
And
about it.
that is a different story. I'm only saying whatever happened in Sri Lanka uh, in terms of defeating LTE or LTT actions itself were extremes,
Yeah.
condemnable both sides. But the fact is, the way you handling the situation and you viewing that situation is also a bit off. There's no balance. That's the problem, and that uh, issue is something which is endemic because, like I said, there are ethnic issues and there are emotional issues. That's about all. Yeah.
Uh, the is SARC or BIMSTEC which is relevant these days? Is BIMSTEC a subcontinental quad for the Chinese? And thank you for Shankar in
Yeah, BIMSTEC has got really, it's not quad and all. Yeah. It's just the arrangement, it's struggling itself.
uh,
Yeah. What is the second part of the story?
thank you
Question
for
there?
bringing out question. Thank you for bringing informative videos on Gunnershot, sir.
Ah, I want more people to join. I mean, we can analyze and talk what you want. But in Gunner Shot, you'll get absolute raw data, facts. That's a facts-based analysis. So I want more people to join. I'm openly saying it in this. I say it every channel I go. Because the whole idea of that Gunner Shot is to uh, make people understand through data, solid facts. Now, I won't say data facts. Oh, I'm not too analytical about it there, but here I'm analytical. I can give you history, I can give you geography, I can give you a lot of things, but there I will be subject specific and focus laser fact on facts. Yeah,
Will the IMF loans be used to pay back Chinese loans?
that's the whole problem. IMF is not allowing any loans to be paid back. They're turning the screw. Look, Pakistan is in a okay. Let me say, in a day or two, you'll see an article from me, and the question I'm asking is Pakistan dying? I'm not talking of breaking up. I'm talking of dying. Okay. So we just wait for the couple of days. That answer will come.
There's interesting movement coming out from the US as well. So
Yeah,
let's
let's
see.
see what US can do.
Mm. Hi, sir. Do you think India lost the plot in Nepal? Was the assassination of the king of Nepal the turning point?
Not necessary. It had lost the plot even before that.
Where did we lose Nepal, sir?
See, you have to. We didn't lose Nepal as much as. I mean, how do I put it? A lot of it is our mistake. You have to understand that India, say 15, 20 years back, acted like the big brother to everyone. It's our problem. Today, you don't know how to handle it. It'll take a lot to unwind what all you did earlier. It's because of a lack of foreign policy, which is consistent with many things. You couldn't take advantage of many things. You didn't see that China will come and sit on your head there.
Yeah.
Today you're regretting, so that's fine. Regret. I mean, we have to go through this pain.
Yeah, yeah, because of stupidity. It's our history, so we have to live with it.
Yeah, many of us don't understand our own history and how foolish we've been. Yeah.
And the problem again, I'd like to say this, the problem is that we keep getting stuck in the same discussion. How foolish were we? Oh yeah, theek hai, that's understood. Let's kind of fucking look
Like we
forward
have to
and see.
move ahead.
Let's kind of look forward and see, okay, with the foolishness that we've done, what can we derive out of it and how can we benefit now?
How can you move ahead? Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree with you.
that's the key for the discussion that we should have, because we keep getting into that old abusive fashion. Usne ye kiya, usne wo kiya, and all that stuff. Do you think India should support Nepalese monarchy to come back so that we can push the
Look,
Chinese out of Nepal?
democracy is like toothpaste. Once it comes out, you can't put it back. So forget it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that I agree with. There's no question. And secondly, if we start doing stuff like that, there's
No,
going to
no,
be a
no. We
lot of
can't do all that. Yeah.
strategic joke. Imagine North Korean dictator making an agreement with the US with USA's CIA to maintain stability in his region and prevent a coup. If not, USA's cities will be nuked.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
That's quite a wild one, I must say. Chinese aid of 700 million given to a country infected with pandemic of terrorism is a mistake and endangers regional security.
Well, I agree with you, but they have no choice. It's a
But then
mistake to give
the funny
Pakistan
thing
anything.
is, the funny thing is, a blind man would be able to see that, boss, you're arming Pakistan, which has a bloody illicit arms market. I'm sure. I mean, see, I don't
Look,
condone.
I know. We have to look at it from a different viewpoint. That's why I trace the history of Chinese.
Go ahead,
Uh,
understandable.
so the Chinese are probably doing the minimum they can at this point of time.
And I
But
also know about Oriental honor कि यार वो माने
so,
वो हाँ.
and all said and done, between they have a huge history, right? Just because someone who's very close to you has gone bad, you don't ditch him completely. So, okay. And the loss of Pakistan to China is more worrisome. The loss of Pakistan to China means that sphere of influence is gone, and then USA is won the day. There are larger issues as far as Pakistan is concerned, right? And it's also, when did I say this? Pakistan is the battleground, latest battleground between US and China. I think we discuss this earlier? The fight is
Long time
happening
back.
here. Yeah,
Long
long
time back.
time back. Yeah, long time back. So that's what's happening. So if the fight is happening, how can you leave your battlefield and run?
That's exactly why I said there's some interesting moves coming out of the US. You
Yeah,
know, the battle is Pakistan.
yeah.
There's no question.
Battleground is
Ani-
Pakistan.
Anikesh says, when will we finally project power in the neighborhood? They immediately cry China the moment they don't get the goodies from us. Not just this, even the
Again,
US trackies use China to interfere with India.
uh, I disagree with this thought process. Uh, Again, please see the video which I put out before the last one on the neighborhood, just before that, about India. It's the title is called India Calling. What's his name? इसको on करो जरा.
Anikesh. Anikesh.
Anikesh, my question: have you contributed to Gunner Shot or subscribed to Gunner Shot? Please do so, and then talk and go through that video on India Calling, and then you'll see that officially, and this gets reported in a Chinese newspaper, that India's standing again in the ASEAN regions has gone up. They don't want to go next to China. So, see, many of you, the art, the what shall I say, the thought processes which you put across and your questions which you put across, I must put it across to you, stems from a lot of ignorance. I don't blame you. I don't blame you for this ignorance because you're getting misled by journalists who have no training about China, who have not read about China, or two-bit people who have been brainwashed by China. So you are asking us questions which are absolutely uh, disjointed, if I may say. That is why I started the channel on Gunner Shot, where you'll get absolute facts about China. If you don't know the facts about China, if you don't know what's happening in China, if you don't know how China is thinking, you cannot handle China. Okay, why? Look, I come and talk on Adi's show. Okay, I talk on China, I talk on Pakistan, I talk on whatever we decide we should talk. But that is dedicated to China only. If you go through that, then you ask me intelligent questions, then I'll answer and discuss. I have no problem. You can ask me questions there also. That's not a problem. But please, we need more intellectual content in the way we do our questions also. Yeah, go ahead.
Sir, do you think Chinese assertion to dominate the world trade and economy is just copying what the Anglo-Saxons did to the world, bribing, annexing, and interfering with others, at
Yeah,
least taking
again,
the initiatives?
I have to go back to you with what about the BRI. I did a program about the BRI in that the same thing. Flag follows the trade. That's the principle. There's no other thing, but Chinese have failed. That's a different story. Yeah.
That is, I mean, the biggest thing that I look at China, and that's something that I think I've s- I, I don't know, I've kind of started believing the factor that the Chinese, a lot of times we think that are in a very very great position when they actually put out these things.
They are not.
They project it in a way that you kind of feel that, oh yeah, this is the end of the world. China aa gaya, ab ye ho gaya, wo ho gaya. Yes, the Chinese threat does exist. There's no question about it, and it will always exist. But the level of the threat is not what probably it was about 6 to 8 years ago.
Yeah, I
That
agree
is
with you
something that we need
completely.
to
See,
understand.
my thing again, um, there's a video I did called The Big Worry. Look at it. What's China's worry? Why I do, uh, you know, in that decipher how China looks at India. When you look at a mirror, you only see yourself. How does that fellow look at you is more important to us, and that is why that video. And if you see that, and you see those set of videos, there are about 10 of them already, 10 or 12 of them, and they're a series, then you'll get a realistic idea of China, and then this discussion will be even more meaningful. I mean, we'll take this whole discussion to another level. I've learned from all of you. I mean, I've learned from all of you, and I must thank you for all the questions which you're giving. But there's a repetitiveness about the questions you're getting, right? I mean, India is no pushover anymore. China is not the great dragon we thought it was. Pakistan is defunct. So that brings me to the next question, which I have not got from anyone. Is this business of 2.5 front, 2.5 front valid anymore? So there are fundamental questions which we have to answer if we can accurately put our fingers on what's happening geopolitically. Yeah, next question.
Last one in the row. So, is China going towards bankruptcy? They spend a lot on BRI. CPEs is a small amount.
No, no, they have not spent so much on BRI and CPC as we think. They have, from the original estimates, they spent only about 40 to 50%. You also have to understand that it is not just sunk money completely. They still have sovereign, you know, debt with all these countries. One, secondly, they get geopolitical power because all these chaps have to vote with China tomorrow in UN. Okay, and they'll be part of the global security initiative of China, which they've started. And China is a funny country. I mean, they'll not go to bankruptcy because their manufacturing is good. You have to understand, despite everything, China still manufactures a lot of goods for the world, and that you have to grant it to them that they've done it well. So they will continue. What we are trying to analyze is, will it be a great power or not? Because we have to deal with it accordingly. That's about all. We are not here to disprove whether China is a great power or not. We are to assess what China is so that we can deal with it accordingly. That's the more important thing for me. Yeah, that's it.
Great power. I mean,
How does it matter?
it does. I mean, I mean, I kind of say China will always remain a great power. There's no question about it.
Right.
And but
On that
the
score, it is historically a great power.
the size and scope of the great power is a totally different story
A
altogether.
different story. And first, secondly, how does it matter if the chap is a great power or not? Why तुम कौन हो? तुम क्या से हो? And how do you deal with him is the more important question. Do you have
Second
the
thing,
power to deal with him?
I mean, who stops us? I don't see anybody stopping.
Yeah.
But the main issue about recalibrating, if I may, China would be about actually recalibrating our stance around where China deals. Right now, Pakistan, I must say this, and I completely actually agree with the policy that we've taken up with Pakistan. There is no question about it. Sri Lanka, I know a lot of people will not agree with me because of that damn Chinese ship, but I think we've got more hold in Sri Lanka that we would like to believe. The
Yeah,
countries where I find that we are failing in terms of our influence is basically Myanmar, where
yeah,
overtly at least we don't see anything happening. Overtly.
yeah.
Covertly, I
I
don't know.
agree.
I'm not aware, and Modi Saab doesn't give me a call nowadays what to do. But Myanmar is a challenge. Bhutan is a different story because Bhutan will always remain with us. There's no question about it.
Hey, Bhutan is not a challenge. You have to
It's
handle
got
Bhutan
it's
sensitive.
yeah. Bhutan is very sensitive, and Bhutan needs to be handled with care. There's no question about it. And the most important thing that I actually look at is Nepal today, which has
Nepal
the
is your
emotional
long
quotient.
term. Nepal is your long term problem. That's it. As
That's
simple as
what
that.
the emotional quotient, which is going to play a big role in Nepal, sir.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of questions will play, but you have to handle Nepal with a different set of gloves from what you did here till now. Otherwise, Nepal will become your Ukraine.
Nepal has a huge potential of actually becoming a challenge for us.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mr. Raghuram, for becoming a member on the channel, and thank you, Vaman, for your contribution. Before
yeah,
I sign off, guys, please, as my friend Kumar is saying, please press the like button. Thank you so much for mentioning that. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and if you can also become a member, please do that so that you can help out the Dev Talks efforts. You can actually directly contribute by the UPI mentioned above. Oh, there's some comments. I'll just go through these little comments.
yeah,
I think this is about what you and I were talking. So, dealing with China, dealing proactively with the world for development. World needs an alternative with the failure of multilateral development banks, which isn't good enough for the world's growth today.
okay.
That's interesting. Simran again says, General Sir, we are using a strategic location in the Andaman Islands to its full potential, considering the Malacca Strait is a issue for the
Yeah,
Chinese trade. It started now. There's no question about it. And Mahesh says China has a problem with food fudged economic figures, mistrust, isolation due to BRI. But just like Pakistan, the West will keep China afloat since they boosted the Chinese economy themselves.
possible.
Yeah, with the president's son having some connections with him. It's interesting. But anyway, sir, thanks so much. This has been a good show. We've actually discussed interesting aspect of the Indian neighborhood, because a lot of times we kind of miss around one big thing, which is the internal politic of the country that we are actually analyzing, because we look at it from a India China angle and we look at it from a China X country X angle, but the internal politic and the people make a huge difference, and that's where I think there is a plus point for us
Yeah,
with Sri Lanka, with Nepal, with Bangladesh, with Bhutan, and with even in Myanmar, as a matter of fact. But Pakistan, of course, is a I don't think there's any plus in terms of the people is concerned. On that note, sir, thank you so much, and see you next time for another interesting subject and analysis. Guys, as I
thank you.
said, before signing off, just touch the like button. Thank you so much, and Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Hmm.